Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Stanley. I'm the Family Engagement Specialist for DC Public Schools, and I am so glad that you are here with us this morning. It is Saturday, but you all have decided that advocacy and leadership on a parent and caregiver level at DCPS is really important, and I could not agree more. So I'm so happy for you all to share your Saturday morning with us, and I'm looking forward to you joining all of our panels and our workshops to learn more. If you can't stay for the whole time, that's totally understandable. We all have families and to look after and take care of. So if you can only stay for a few sessions, that's perfectly fine. Join what's relevant for you and join what you have time for. Jerry, can you go to the next slide, please? For those of you who need interpretation, we do have interpretation services. So what you'll do is click on the icon that says interpretation, and then you would select Spanish. And so we have interpretation in Spanish for our participants. And so I'm going to give folks a little bit of time to do that, about couple more seconds, and then we're gonna go to the next slide. Okay, Jerry. Okay, so today we have an awesome time planned for you. We're going through the welcome right now. Then we have a panel discussion featuring DCPS families and DCPS staff called Everyone is an Advocate. Then at 10 o'clock, we have a workshop and panel discussion. The panel discussion at the 10 o'clock hour is in Spanish, but we do have English interpretation available. And so if that is a workshop, if that is a panel that you are interested in, but you don't speak Spanish, I encourage you to hop into that session because that is an experience in terms of needing interpretation that our Spanish-speaking families have to encounter every single day. And they will be telling amazing stories about their experiences coming to DC, joining DCPS. Then at 11 o'clock, we have 2 workshops by Kindred. Then at the 12 o'clock hour, we have a workshop and a panel discussion. Now, obviously you can't do every single one for the hour. Our panels will be recorded. And so if you want to review the panels later, you can do that. And so we also have our workshops. What you'll also notice is that we have a 15-minute break between each workshop and panel, between each hour session. This is because I'm a mom. I know that sometimes I need a break. And so we want to be able to provide you all with 15-minute transition time. So if you've got to get that snack, if you've got to change a diaper, if you've got to check to make sure your kids are doing okay outside, we want to give you that time. So we're going to slide right along. Awesome. So another awesome feature that I'm really excited to tell you all about, and let me slow down, to tell you all about is our office hours. So we have 2 DCPS offices and 2 organizations that are available for you to learn more about, ask questions. And so we have the DCPS Office of Integrity, the DCPS Department of Specialized Instruction, Carlos Rosario Public Charter High School, and Children's National ADHD and Learning Differences Program. And so if you go to the bottom, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of DCPSFamilySummit.com, you'll be able to see and meet with staff members of these different organizations or offices and ask questions about their programs. Or if you have any concerns or questions about, like for DCPS Department of Specialized Instruction, if you have a child who has an IEP or is in special education, you can hop in there and then they'll answer some of your questions. DCPS Office of Integrity, if you have questions, if you have comments about your DCPS experience that you think needs some mitigation or support, you can hop into the Office of Integrity. They won't be able to solve every single problem today, but it's a great way to start the conversation and build that type of relationship with some of our offices. And again, you can find the links at the bottom of the homepage for www.dcpsfamilysummit.com. Next slide, please. Awesome. Community norms. It's a Saturday. We're all here because we think that there's an opportunity for families to be leaders and advocates for their child on a personal level, in their school, or in the DCPS district as a whole. And so with that said, please approach this as the beginning of more conversations. And so assume best intentions, go hard on ideas, not on people, and accept non-closure. Again, we're not gonna have the solution to everything that that is brought up, but please, we want to make sure that we keep the conversation going and that we're able to continue to engage with each other and create a school system that supports the development and growth of our children. Next slide, please. So with that said, oh, y'all, I'm so excited. I get to introduce like one of my favorite people in the whole entire world, my boss, my role model, Shanita Burney. She's the Communications and Engagement Officer here for DCPS, and she's so phenomenal. So Shanita, I'm passing it over to you. And everybody, thank you so much for being here. And you're about to have an awesome panel. So really excited.
Thank you, Taylor. And good morning, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. We know that you're very busy, and so we appreciate you all spending your Saturday morning with us. Today also happens to be College Signing Day, and we all especially want to recognize our high school seniors and their families for their post-secondary education plans, and encourage our younger students and families to prepare early for their path after DCPS. At DCPS, we believe that you, our families, are critical partners in your child's education. This year of virtual learning and our current phase of recovery has shined a light on the important role that families play. We cannot do this work without you. As a DCPS parent, I can attest to myself that there are many roles that families play each and every day. They're coaches, they're cheerleaders, they're experts and advocates. Every parent, guardian, and caregiver is their child's first teacher. They're their number one advocate and a leader in their family, school, and community. The purpose of this event today, our first ever Family Leadership and Advocacy Summit, is to support each and every family on their path to leadership and advocacy. We know that looks different for everyone, and we want to support your individual journey. And so we particularly aim to elevate the voices of our communities who traditionally are not elevated. So you'll hear throughout the day about opportunities to stay engaged and continue to develop as an advocate and leader. And to that end, we'd like to personally invite you all to apply to be a part of the Chancellor's Advisory Board. So the advisory board participants will provide input on the implementation of DCPS policies, priorities, and new initiatives. So we're looking for a diverse group of parents and guardians to represent all students and families' voices across the district. The application deadline is May 7th, and the team is going to drop the link to the application in the chat. So feel free to check it out or pass it along to someone or someones that you think might be interested. Thank you to our wonderful community partners who are leading workshops and offering resources today. Thank you to the panelists, especially DCPS staff and DCPS parents who will be sharing their personal experiences. And again, the largest thank you to you, our DCPS families, for showing up today and for working together with us to make our school system better. So with that, I'm going to kick us off and introduce members of our family panel, which is our very first panel to start the day. The title of this discussion is Everyone is an Advocate. And so this conversation on family advocacy and leadership will talk about the routes that different families take in advocating for their children. So we believe in DCPS that families are experts in their children, and every parent is their child's best champion and advocate. We know that there are many, many different pathways to family advocacy, from a one-on-one relationship with their child's teacher to getting involved at the district level. Different DCPS families advocate for their children in the way that's best for them. And so this morning, we're going to have you hear from a few DCPS parents and a DCPS teacher so that you can hear about their personal stories and what advocacy looks like for them. So I'm going to start by giving you a quick sort of intro of who we have on the panel. And then you'll hear a little bit more about who they are when they start speaking as well. So today we have 4 members of the panel. We have Tommy Jones, who is a parent of an early childhood education student at Capitol Hill Montessori. And he is, you'll hear from him in a bit. We also have Vanessa Rubio, who is a Brightwood parent. We also have Chantel Washington, who's the parent of a student at Garfield. She's also a member of our Chancellor's Advisory Board, our current advisory board. And we also have Peggy Winless, who is a teacher at Walker Jones, and she leads their family engagement committee. Of course, my dog starts barking. Apologies for that. I'm going to kick us off and ask Chantel if she can share with us what advocacy means to her as a parent and caregiver. Also, as you talk about what advocacy means, what advice do you have for other families about advocacy and leadership?
Hello and good morning. So to answer that, advocacy for me, I've been thinking about it all morning. It just looks colorful and it has no end. Like once you begin, you're going to keep going, you're going to keep going, you're going to find different ways to learn how to advocate for your child. You're going to find different ways to build a rapport with the educators that are working with your child. And to advocate for your child, you're going to have to educate yourself on what that looks like. So you're going to have to figure out what your child needs, how you can support them, how you can work with their teacher to support them, how everyone can make sure that your child is successful. And, you know, for me, my experience with advocating for my child, my son attends Garfield, but he has autism. So because he's a nonverbal student, it's a little bit hard for me to, know everything that goes on throughout his day. So for me to advocate for him, I have to stay in contact with all of his teachers to make sure that he's on the right page, he's on the right path, that he's doing what he's supposed to do, that I'm doing my part to support him in being successful. And I feel like it's important to get involved in any aspect that you feel would be beneficial to not only your child's success, but your child's teacher's success with your student. Because sometimes our kids can be a little bit different when they're not around their parents, if that makes sense. But I feel like, um, as Shanita said, I'm involved with the Chancellor's Advisory Board, and that was something that I wanted to do because I felt like, Garfield's a great school. I really want to be involved to see, where the board gets all of their information, how they decide what they want to do at the school level, how they decide what they want to do at the district level. Like I wanted to be involved because I'm just so concerned about my child, and everyone is so concerned about their child. So when you're advocating for your child, you just want to always remember that building rapport with their educators is important, that continuously building rapport with your child is important. Some people just send their kids to school and then that's it. How was your day? Oh, it was great, and that's about it. And then you get a report card and it's like it's not what you thought it was going to be. But we can prevent all of that by being there for them. That's the biggest part of advocating for your child. I hope that answers the question as appropriately as possible. I don't want to take up too much time if someone else has to answer that question.
No, I think you're good. Is there any specific advice, Chantel, you would give? I know you mentioned that you have a student with specialized needs. So, there might be others on the call who could, take advantage of any advice that you have if there was something you wanted to share with them moving forward in their advocacy journey?
So when my son started at Garfield, he was 3, and my main focus was like, okay, I want my son to talk really, really bad. I want him to be able to say mommy and things like that. And it was just like, I felt like I was rushing them. Like, okay, is he talking yet? Is he saying anything? So I feel like the biggest advice I can give is be patient with them, and any advice that the educators are giving you, like if they're saying, hey, Miss Washington, this is a piece of paper, it has some resources on there that I want you to try to call. A lot of times we get papers and resources and we never even look into them. Look into all of those resources. I waited till too late to look into one of the resources that supplies free pull-ups and wipes for my son, and he's 7 and he just started getting that resource, but he's been a part of a wave of having a disability since he was 3, and I could have been started receiving those resources and the therapy sessions that he has. Take advantage of every resource that they give you, any numbers they give you to contact that can be of any assistance to you. Take advantage of it. Any workshops they say that may be beneficial to your child, get your child up, take them there, you go there with them. You continuously educate yourself on everything you need to do with your child. You know how they always say, oh, they're not doing that math we were doing back when we were in school, they're doing that new math now. They're doing a lot of new things for kids that have disabilities, and we need to be educating ourselves on it. Like, kids having devices to communicate. I didn't even know that was a thing until my son started going to Garfield, and they were like, even if he doesn't talk, he can use his device or whatever. And when I tell you, if my son has his device, he will not shut up. I want chips. I want this. I do not like that. And then sometimes he'll try to get smart with me. Like if I'm like, okay, Darian, it's time to do work, he'll be like, I don't understand. Like just keep going and build that rapport and sustain those relationships with those educators. Take all of those resources, take advantage of every one of them. That is my advice. Like, and I always make this joke with my son's teachers, if I text them, I'll be like, hey, good morning. Your son had a great Saturday or whatever. Mind you, your son, because, when I send my baby with them for 8 hours a day when he's in person, that's your child, and then once I pick him up, now he's mine. But let me tell y'all something. When my son goes to school, he's a totally different person. He is immaculate at the school building. When he comes home, he thinks he's at a nightclub. He wants to jump and stand on couches and all of that stuff. So when he's at school, he is immaculate. And I'm telling you, build that rapport with those teachers, because those are their babies too. When they get those kids off of the bus, they're just as excited to see them as we are when we pick them up from school. So build that rapport. Let those teachers know that you are here for your child. It just being there and showing up to pick them up is not always enough for an educator to build that rapport with you. You have to make sure that any resources you're getting from them, you're taking advantage of it. And then also, once you've taken advantage of those resources, let them know, hey, listen, this was beneficial to me, so that they can pass it on to someone else. And then that's pretty much all the advice I have. But I definitely say take advantage of resources, because like for me, I waited late in the game, and like I'm still finding out about so many different resources that I didn't know about. Like I didn't even know there was like a possibility for my son to attend summer camp, because he's not potty trained, he's nonverbal, and he requires so much assistance for people to understand what he needs. So take advantage of all of those resources. If your child aligns with the same things that my son has, contact your child's school, contact their teacher, say, hey, listen, I have a couple of questions about such and such and such. Just don't think that people aren't going to be there for you, because there is a whole task force out here that will assist you with your child. Take advantage of these resources, guys. That's my advice to you.
Such good advice. Thank you. You got an amen corner in me. As I go to Tommy, I see that he is amen as well. Tommy, one of the things that Chantel said, which resonates so deeply with me, is the role that teachers play in really strong, great family engagement that leads to student success outcomes. So important, and quite frankly, is the most important lever in strong family engagement. So as you think about sort of what Chantel was saying, talk to us a little bit about what was the catalyst for you to build a relationship with your child's teacher and how you became involved in the larger school community.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to DCPS. I am a parent of a K-4 child, and one thing that I've deeply been committed to is the public education, that every district resident has an opportunity to be at the best schools. And I believe they're right here in the district in DC Public Schools. So thank you to my colleagues and friends and parents. So to me, I look at it as it has been my role and responsibility to be there at the front door every single day for my child. And I was thinking about when Chantel talked about her son getting off the bus, or how she, that child, or, her son is, when I give my son to that teacher, I'm entrusting that teacher with the most precious gift that they could ever receive. Because I believe my baby is the most important, most precious gift. And I know everybody believes that about their kids. But I also know that I, as a parent, have a responsibility to be active, involved, and engaged. And everyone can do it at every spectrum. So I told my teacher in K3, I said, Miss Scott, I was at the time we were at Langdon Elementary. I said, your job is solely to teach. My job as a parent is to help you, support you, to move obstacles, to get out of the way, to say the things you can't say, because we're parents. And our job as the parents is to really, really get in the trenches of it and to support. It's to volunteer. I moved my schedule to, because I wanted our kids to go to the pumpkin patch. So that meant signing up all the paperwork. DCPS and other, the good thing about DCPS is they protecting our babies. The other thing is they're giving us the paperwork to protect our babies. So going through the paperwork and filling it out. But then there was the other part, Shanita. I came into a school that was transitioning in terms of its advocacy for parents on the PTO. Now I'm a K3 parent. I'm the first, I really should have just been sitting there just being quiet. But if you know me, you know I'm never gonna be quiet. And so I signed up and I made it a commitment at that time that we were gonna totally be all in. And what did that mean, all in? That meant making sure that using community resources to get parents engaged. That meant walking around. When I dropped my son off, I purposely dropped him off every morning. And when I dropped him off, I walked the whole perimeter of the school and then made sure other parents, did you know about the PTO meeting? Did you know about this? Oh, your baby didn't know? Okay, well, listen, what's your baby's teacher name? Let me make sure this person understands, because you know what? I have the ability, I see things differently. I work in environments that have that type of information. And then the other thing is we always talk a lot about the teacher, but I also want to commend the principals and the APs and the librarians and the other resource officers, because you know what, as busy as I was, I forgot to get some paperwork in. You know what the school said, Mr. Jones, you walking around here, where your baby paperwork? And now she did it in love, but it was the part that, because you build in those communities and those things, it's really, really important. So, Shanita, to answer the question, the whole part is when your baby walks into that DC public school, because I'm believing every baby is going to walk in on, I believe it's August 30th, right, Shanita? Every baby's going to walk in buildings. And from the day your baby walk into that building, I believe all of us as parents have an obligation, a right to be involved. That means from being in the classroom to being, if you can't be in the classroom, maybe making 5 phone calls for the principal. These principals, these teachers, these resources need us. And your baby You're giving your baby 8 hours a day or more to these wonderful educators. And I think we all have a right. You know, some of us can write a check. That's good too, because I believe we need that. But also there's some of them can testify. Some of them can go make 5 phone calls. If we all did that, I think about my school at the time, I think we had like 500 people. Just imagine if we had, 50 people made 5 calls and that, we could have these meetings be full and fruitful and they can be a part of the system. So I know, Shanita, you're gonna tell me, Tommy, your time is up, but I just wanna tell everybody, no matter what your education level is, how much money you got in the bank, how much, who you connected to. Okay, yeah, you know the mayor. Well, somebody else don't know the mayor. Yeah, you know Dr. Farabee, but somebody don't know Dr. Farabee. It don't matter, because the most important person that's walking in that building is your baby. And the most important job that every one of us as a parent have is to make sure that your baby, when they walk in that DC public school, that they have everything that every kid should have. And when I think about what Miss Washington said about her baby needed the computer to be able to connect, every baby deserves that. And so, it's our job as parents. Maybe my baby don't need that, but you know what? I need to make sure that her baby gets that so that her baby can be successful. Because you know what? At the end of the day, when Shanita talked about it at the beginning, we're talking about post-secondary education or fruit. So we want to make sure that when they come in from K3 to K12, that they have a plan, a resource, and an action. And you know what? It's because every parent was involved and every parent was an advocate and every parent felt that their DC public school baby was number one.
I'm so fired up. I'm like trying to hold my composure since I'm moderating. Yes. I hope this is resonating with the folks who are listening in as much as it's resonating with me. It's so important, this advice, this feedback that you're giving. I'm hoping that there's someone on the call that is hearing this and feeling incredibly empowered, because advocacy can sound like a big, overwhelming, intimidating word, especially when you're busy, don't have time, don't have, like you said, don't have all that money in the bank. Like there's still a way that you can show up, and the way that you all are sharing your personal experiences is just so important. I'm gonna go to Peggy, and let me just say, I'm calling folks by their first name because I want them as a way to just make them feel more real to the folks on the call and to connect. It feels weird for me to call a teacher without saying Miss Windlass, but I'm still gonna say Peggy.
No, please say Peggy, please say Peggy.
Yes. So Peggy, listening to as a teacher at Walker Jones Education Campus, would love to hear how you're feeling about some of the feedback that you're hearing from the parents on the panel so far, in terms of how important it is for parents to build a relationship with the teacher as well as with that larger school community.
Thank you so much, Shanita, and everyone here. I'm so excited to be here. And did you not see my reactions to what my families were saying? Because what they said was authentic and just plain and simple the truth. I am overwhelmed at hearing them and their success and how they're building those relationships. And that's what it's all about. It's about building those relationships. And what I found out as an educator in the DCPS district is that families sometimes don't know the questions to ask. So I came up with an idea of how can I empower my parents to know how to ask those questions, to advocate for themselves, who to go to. So that's the community that I'm currently trying to build within Walker Jones Educational Campus. So let the families know you have a voice, you can be heard. What do you need? Who is your connection with? Who do you make that connection with? How do you make that connection? And that is very, very, very important to me so that our families can be heard and they know that voice. They need to understand you have choices. You can request things. How do you go about it? And this is what our role is in DCPS in helping our families. Like you said, I'm not just here just to teach your families. I'm also here to in any way possible, because sometimes they don't need academic skills at that time. Sometimes they just need a listening ear. Sometimes they just need some support to say, hey, Miss Winless, I need to talk to you for a moment. I'm like, sure. And that's what our children need. And our parents need to know that we're there for them, that we're there to support them, that we're there to give them the tools that they need. I'm so excited to be a part of this panel. I'm so excited to hear your voice. I'm so excited to know that we are trying our best to help our families succeed at whatever they need to succeed to be successful, because that's what it's all about. I call my classroom, I say, you are the future leaders of America. I instill that in them every day to let them know you can make a difference. It's about change, and you're going to be that change for tomorrow. So parents, listen to other parents and let us and know that we're here to support you. We have time. We have to make the time. You know, sometimes as educators, we get tired. I know we do. We work hard. But let me tell you something, I don't mind staying late. I don't mind getting phone calls. I don't mind opening up my Teams, say, hey, you need something? Whatever you need. My parents reach out to me. I give out my personal phone number because I want my families to know if you're reaching out to me, you need something. And I want our families to know that we're here to support them in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. So important as you're getting a round of applause. So important to have that strong partnership and relationship with your child's teacher or teachers. And, you know, as we're listening to Peggy, I mean, I think we all can hear the passion in her voice. And, you know, I firmly believe, as having my own personal kid in DCPS schools, that we have the best teacher staff in the country, in the world. And our work on family engagement just really exceeds what, because I'm in touch with a lot of folks around the country and other in similar districts around their family engagement work. And what we're doing is just you know, top notch. And so really appreciate Peggy sharing that perspective as a teacher. I want to come to Vanessa. Vanessa, you're a Brightwood parent. You're also a Brightwood alum. You've been doing this work a long time. You do this work in schools and in communities. We've heard a lot from folks just around the different things that you can do to build a relationship with the teacher, to get connected to your school community, how to do it on a big scale, how to do it, you know, in small steps. But what advice do you have for folks on the call who are busy and might not be as informed about everything that's happening at school, who might not know all the, you know, Tommy talked about, people that don't necessarily know the mayor or know the chancellor. And there's some people who wouldn't even be able to tell you the chancellor's name, and that's okay. And so what advice do you have for folks that just don't have the time, maybe not even the deep sort of level of interest in sort of doing this work full time, but want to support in some way? What advice do you have for them?
Hi, thank you guys for joining today. As Shanita said, I am a parent at Brightwood and an alumni, and now raising my 4 children in DCPS, all different ages. So there isn't no time for anything, but you can make the time. You can make the time. You don't need to speak English to advocate for your parents. Your language is perfectly fine. Our schools have translators and they're able to translate anything you need. Getting involved, connecting with your teacher on that first day of school is important. Connecting with the workshops that are given at the schools are important. the principal coffees or chit chats they have. Join at least one. If you can't join, try to get someone email and connect. Like Tommy said, walk around the school, connect with other parents. Connect with the parents within your child's classroom is important. You making that connection, you're also making that environment. Your children will assist you in advocating for them once they make that little buddy and they, have their little friends. You could connect with that mom. That mom has other issues. You have issues. So those issues you start advocating for your child, towards. Language is not a barrier. I am from a Latina. My second language is Spanish, and Spanish is not a barrier for you to advocate for your children. Go out, meet your parents, meet your teachers, connect with them, meet your principal. Sometimes they're not so visible, but you could find them in the mornings, you could find them in the evenings, or even when you drop into your school to pick up your child for early dismissal. Say hi to everyone, meet everyone in the office, get to know them. You could start a report even at, pick up or drop off time with your teachers. You will see them all around the school. So advocating for your child is not so hard. Yes, the word sounds intimidating. Advocating in high school sounds intimidating. I'm up for high school next year with my 9th grader. And yes, I'm scared too, but I'm gonna make it a point to meet the principal, meet the staff, meet his teachers, and make some new friends, get to know other parents there so we can connect and we could advocate for that particular high school. High school is scary, just like it's middle school, where DCPS is transitioning from education campuses where we have pre-K all the way up to 8th grade. Yes, we felt comfortable, but now our children are growing, so we have to follow them through. We have to advocate for them, whether it's in English, in Spanish, Amharic, Chinese, any language has a translation. So it doesn't matter if you don't speak English at a proficiency. It is important for you to voice your opinion. No question is wrong, no comment is wrong. You can advocate. And like Tommy said, you don't need to know the chancellor. Now, all you have to do is send an email somewhere and your voice will get heard. So, grab that home just like we grab it to look at Facebook and other things. Send an email, say, hey, my school needs this, my school needs that. All you have to do is send out an email. You could find your principal's email, your teacher's email. Now we've gone virtual. There's a lot more ways and methods that we can advocate for our children. So please, first day of school, say hi to everyone, make some friends, meet some new faces, and connect. It is important.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you also for making the point about language access. I think it's so important for us to make sure that not only as a school district, but certainly at the school level, that we are lifting up, ways that folks can access the staff and opportunities for advocacy, no matter what their language is, no matter what specialized needs students have. We just need to make it accessible to all. As we get ready to wrap up our panel, I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to share with folks joining us how you're taking care of yourself, how you're balancing being a parent advocate, supporting your children, raising kids, doing what I know some of you, your full-time jobs, full-time jobs, part-time jobs, all in between. And want to take about 30 seconds for each of you to just share, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you finding the balance between this pandemic all the needs that your kids have, and continuing to advocate for them and staying healthy. We can go to Chantel first.
Okay, so first things first, in regards to healthy, now, we're all well. I might be a little overweight, but that's not here nor there. But
Normal body sizes.
but honestly, just taking it one day at a time. Like, waking up, having a little bit time in the morning to myself is always important. Before they wake up in the morning, I like to, just kind of meditate, listen to some music, get that coffee going, and then everything that they need throughout the day, because they're still virtual, just making sure that it's ready for them so that when they get up, they don't have to do a lot of mommy this, mommy that. It's it's already here. Let me go ahead and get started, trying to create a culture of independence for them also. And then, as far as, my day-to-day activities for work, just making sure the night before that I'm already prepped up and I'm ready to go as far as, what I need to do for my virtual setting for both of my jobs and things of that nature. Just really prepping days before or on the weekends instead of just, chilling and relaxing all day long, prepping for the week ahead. Because although we're still working during virtual times, it seems like it's more work to me than it was going into the building when I worked. So I would say for me, I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to create a culture of independence for them so that they can help me with, prepping for the next day or prepping for big assignments and things of that nature. So
Great, thanks. Vanessa, what about you? What are you, just take a few seconds just to share how you're finding balance.
My balance is when they sleep. So put them to bed early. Practice that. That is the key. 8:30, 9:30 at the latest. Put them to bed early. I'm Latina. I like my Spanish soap operas. So that's my, 1 hour TV time as soon as they knock out. Morning, start your day early. 6, 7 in the morning. You find time for yourself. At the same time, prepare for them. Like Chantel said, you prepare days before. As a mom, reality, we really don't have time, but we make time. So just like we make time to spend with them, to participate at school, to volunteer, to advocate for our children, we also have that in-between time for us, whether it's just sitting in the car for a few seconds, drinking your coffee or looking at your phone. It's doable. It's not so hard. I know many of us lock ourselves in the bathroom. I'm one. That's our me time. But other than that, it is healthy for you to find your me time, whether it's when they are sleeping, just like mines are this morning. I maneuvered it where we watched a late movie last night, so that way they could sleep until 10 and I can join the meeting this morning. So, as moms, we make it work. As parents, we know how to maneuver our children. So, finding that me time, go for it.
That's great. Yeah, guilty pleasures. I have a teenager. I'm like, you can get up until 1 unless I wake up. We're at time, but I wanted to quickly hear, just Tommy, if you could just say maybe just one sentence or two, how you're finding balance.
Coffee.
It's like real quick, real easy. Yep. And Peggy, as a teacher, you have a lot that you're balancing as well, your own family, presumably teaching, and everyone else's kids. How do you find balance?
You're absolutely right. I'm actually on my way to my daughter's wedding. But this was so important to, thank you, but this was important to MNC, and because they know what family engagement means to me and DCPS and all of you, they understood, they had to share me. So that's why I find balance. We share things. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to our amazing panel that has kicked us off this morning. I'm fired up, and I'm going to pass it over to Taylor to share next steps, and look forward to seeing some of you in some of the other sessions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So for next steps, the show's not over, and I'm so excited. So we have a workshop from Flamboyant Foundation, building and sustaining trusting relationships between families and educators. And if you are not familiar with the Flamboyant Foundation, they work with us on our family engagement initiatives, including some of you might be attending schools that do home visits. We use the Flamboyant Foundation model, and they are phenomenal partners. We also have our panel discussion, The Road to Advocacy, a conversation on the experiences of Spanish-speaking immigrant families coming to DC, navigating DCPS, and their pathways to becoming leaders. This panel is in Spanish. We do provide English interpretation. And so if this is a panel that you are interested in, we encourage you to join in and listen to these phenomenal stories of some of our Spanish-speaking families. I also want to remind you of office hours, and those are from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so we have the Office of Integrity, we have the Department of Specialized Instruction, we have Carlos Rosario Public Charter School, and Children's National ADHD and Learning Differences Program. And so if you get lost or you need support, one of the things that'll pop up at the bottom of the website screen is the link to the welcome desk. And so we have folks from the Family and Community Engagement Office, sorry y'all, to be able to guide you to the next program. And so as next steps, log right on, go back to the website, and you'll see you can click Happening Now at the top of the page, and then that'll take you to the page for the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock workshops and panels. And if you get lost, you can chat with the folks in our welcome booth. Also check out the other features that we have. We have a family resources page on the website. We also have information about additional DCPS programs, including Parent University. We also have Family Cornerstones and the application to sign up for the Parent Advisory Board. So we love to have you. And so what we'll do is we'll give you all time to transition to that 10 o'clock slot. And so again, you'll find that at www.dcpsfamilysummit.com. And of course, you'll also see a tab for feedback. We want to make sure that this program is resonating with you all, that, it is a Saturday morning. We want to make sure that it's worth your time, or, if you'd rather be watching Bubble Guppies with your kids and eating Cheerios. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in our next sessions.